An emergency meeting at Buckingham Palace. Queen Elizabeth convening her entire royal staff. We are live in London.
And sealing the deal, President Trump making good on his campaign promise today as Republicans and Democrats get ready to repeal and replace Obamacare.
To me, it's a very big amendment that helps close the bill.
While this is not full repeal, it's the best we think we can get out of the House.
Can now be in a place where I can support the bill.
We're both yeses on the bill.
We are live on Capitol Hill, where in just hours, the crucial vote is set to take place.
Large black coffee.
A what?
Large black coffee.
Do you mean a venti?
No, I mean a large.
He means a venti, yeah, the biggest one you got. Venti is large.
No, venti is 20.
Danny.
Yeah, large is large.
And forget having to get your caffeine fix through coffee. The bagel that can now provide your morning buzz. Fox and Friends First starts right now.
Sunny day, good day, sunshine. Good day, sunshine. Good day, sunshine. We take a walk. The sun is shining.
Good morning to you. The sun not quite shining down yet. A live shot of New York City for you there. And you are watching Fox and Friends First on this Thursday morning. We always appreciate you joining us. I'm Heather Childers.
Good morning. I'm Abby Huntsman. Thanks for starting your Thursday with us. And breaking right now, Queen Elizabeth holding an emergency meeting at Buckingham Palace with her entire royal staff.
For the last-minute move labeled, quote, highly unusual, sparking health concerns over both the Queen and Prince Philip.
Kitty Logan live for us in London. Kitty, what do we know about this meeting?
Well, we know that this high-level emergency staff meeting is due to take place at Buckingham Palace just about now. What we don't know is what this meeting is really about. The only thing we've heard from Buckingham Palace this morning is that there is no cause for alarm. They say the meeting does not concern the health of the Queen or of her husband, Prince Philip. Now, there has been a great deal of speculation, as you may have seen on social media, about their well-being. Just yesterday, though, Prime Minister Theresa May met with the Queen, who's now 91 years old, and Philip was seen opening a new stand at a cricket ground yesterday, and he's 96, but neither the Queen nor Prince Philip has recently reported to be in poor health. The Queen had a bout of flu over Christmas, if you remember, but she's since been out and about, seen looking extremely well. Now, these staff meetings do happen from time to time, but they don't usually attract this kind of attention. We should be hearing a bit more from the palace very soon, and we'll be able to update you shortly on what this meeting is really about. Abby, Heather?
All right,
good
Kitty
news.
Logan. Yeah, that is good news. We'll keep a close eye on that.
Thank you, Kitty.
Well, back here at home, a health care showdown. In just a few hours, the House votes on a new bill to repeal and replace Obamacare.
President Trump working hard to turn no votes into yes votes. But is it enough to seal the deal?
Griff Jenkins is live for us in our nation's capital with what could be a major victory for President Trump if they have the votes. Griff, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Heather and Abby. You know, after 7 years of Republican promises and a first fumbled attempt by the administration, a big day because House Republicans now say they have the votes to undo Obamacare and claim victory.
To me, it's a very big amendment that helps close the bill. Very close.
And McCarthy was talking about there, getting it across the finish line, an amendment offering help for those with pre-existing conditions by providing $8 billion over 5 years. Now, other key elements of that bill will repeal essentially all of Obamacare taxes, including the mandatory coverage for penalties for individuals and businesses, and it would cut federal spending on Medicaid expansion. Conservative members of the Freedom Caucus, who you will remember were holdouts last time, they told our Peter Doocy that now they're on board.
While this is not full repeal, it's the best we think we can get out of the House. We're willing to support it and then keep working for full repeal.
So you think it's still going to have the full Freedom Caucus endorsement?
I do.
But Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi slammed what she calls Trump care, and Democrats like Jim McGovern are outraged.
We've been forced to rely on press reports to figure out what the hell's even in this bill that we're about to report out of rules, because you've concocted yet another secretive backroom deal without holding any hearings, not a single one, or taking any input from Democrats.
So here's how this works. House Republicans will meet this morning for final changes around 9 a.m. And once the bill passes out of the Rules Committee, as expected, a little later this morning, the historic vote should come this afternoon. It'll be interesting to watch.
It sure will, and I'm sure we'll have it live here on Fox.
We'll be watching. Thank you, Griff.
Thank you.
Well, a $1.1 trillion spending bill to fund the government through September now heading to the Senate after getting approval in the House. $15 billion in emergency funding will go toward rebuilding our military. $1.5 billion is slated for border security. The money will be used for thousands of additional detention beds, upgrades in border infrastructure, and technology like surveillance. It does not provide funding for a border wall, though. But that is not stopping the president from fulfilling one of his biggest campaign promises. He is building that wall. Press Secretary Sean Spicer showing off the 20-foot-high walls that will replace broken fences along our border and protect the country.
What I'm telling anybody is that the president said he was going to build a wall, and he's doing it. He's using the best technology and what the Department of Homeland Security under Secretary John Kelly says is the most effective way to keep people out, to stop drugs, to stop cartels, to stop human trafficking, and to prevent illegal immigration. That's what I'm telling you.
The wall is currently being built in Arizona and New Mexico. Construction will soon be underway in San Diego, El Paso, and the Rio Grande Valley.
James Comey doubling down, forcefully defending his decision to reopen the Clinton email investigation just days before the election. Now, the FBI director admitting why the lack of trust in former Attorney General Loretta Lynch played a huge role. Fox News chief intelligence correspondent Catherine Herridge was there for Comey's most impassioned defense yet.
The FBI director defended his decision to reopen the Clinton email probe 11 days before Americans went to the polls.
It makes me mildly nauseous to think that we might have had some impact on the election.
Director Comey told the Senate Judiciary Committee thousands of Clinton emails, many new to investigators and classified, were found on Anthony Weiner's computer as part of a separate criminal case. Weiner shared the laptop with his now estranged wife and Clinton aide Huma Abedin.
You took an enormous gamble. The gamble was that there was something there that would invalidate her candidacy, and there wasn't.
Everybody who disagrees with me has to come back to October 28th. Would you speak or would you conceal?
Well, Director, I do think there was a third door available to you in late last year, just before the election, and that was to confirm the existence of an ongoing investigation about the Trump campaign.
Comey was pressed on the decision not to prosecute Abedin or Weiner for mishandling classified information.
How does that conduct not directly violate that statute?
Comey said he couldn't talk about a document reportedly obtained by Russian hackers that implied then-Attorney General Loretta Lynch would block criminal charges against then-candidate Clinton.
Did the FBI interview the person who wrote the email? If not, why not?
I have to give you the same answer. I can't talk about that in an unclassified setting.
Comey said he took on the burden of speaking publicly last July when he recommended against criminal charges for Clinton because his boss put her impartiality in doubt.
The capper was, and I'm picking on the Attorney General, Loretta Lynch, who I like very much, but her meeting with President Clinton on that airplane was the capper for me.
The FBI director said he is the subject of an ongoing Inspector General's investigation into how the FBI and Justice Department handled the Clinton email case. Director Comey confirmed he has been interviewed. And while there's no timeline for the report, it is expected to tackle Lynch's meeting with Bill Clinton just 1 week before his wife's FBI interview.
Thank you, Catherine. Well, Comey also announcing that top Hillary Clinton aide Huma Abedin was not criminally charged, even though she sent classified emails to now estranged husband Anthony Weiner. Now, senior editor at National Review, Goldberg, slamming that double standard.
The thing that still I find flabbergasting, and it kind of brought back, it sort of triggered a memory from the campaign that we kind of put away, is why isn't Huma Abedin in jail or in a lot of trouble, and Anthony Weiner? I have friends who have, and family who have intelligence, have security clearance that would be carted out of the building in handcuffs for doing a fraction of sending, in Comey's words, thousands of emails to Anthony Weiner, who, let's just say, there are things in his life that make him susceptible to manipulation and blackmail.
Maybe a couple things, like a couple.
Now to some weather. You might want to grab an umbrella before you head out the door this morning.
Yeah, senior meteorologist Janice Dean is here tracking some heavy rain, we're told, for some people anyway.
Absolutely. Always a good idea to carry an umbrella, though. Let's
above this boundary, and then we've got warmer temperatures south of the boundary, and you can kind of see it right across the central U.S. along the boundary. That's where we're getting these areas of low pressure and the potential for more heavy rain. Now shifting across the southeast and the Ohio Valley. We still have flash flood watches and warnings in effect in these regions, and you can see this area of low pressure continues to move north and eastward, and the trailing cold front across the southeast, eventually departing by tomorrow. Let's take a look at the radar estimated precipitation, because these areas heavily saturated with rainfall. Any more rain is going to be a bad situation. That's why we have flood advisories in these areas. Looking ahead, Ohio Valley, Gulf Coast, that's the bullseye where we could get some heavy rainfall. And then for Louisville, Kentucky, for the Derby, I'm heading there today. We are expecting a cooler forecast, and looks like rain in the forecast, but I will have my big hat. Heather, Abby, back to you.
We cannot wait to see that.
I'm sure
have so much fun, Janice.
I'm excited. Thank you. We have some breaking news, though, that we do need to report to you. This is just into our studio. Prince Philip is stepping down from public engagements.
That is according to the BBC. He is, what, 96 years old?
I think he's 95 years old, and then the Queen is 91. And this, of course, comes on the heels of that report that there was a meeting with the entire staff at Buckingham Palace. We reported that at the top of the newscast.
An emergency meeting at Buckingham Palace, but we are told that their health is okay. He is just stepping down from all public engagements. But we'll keep a close eye on this one.
Apparently it has the Queen's full support as well. So that was, I guess, the reason for that meeting. Now you know. Well, now the time is about 10 minutes after the top of the hour, and late-night comedian Stephen Colbert doubles down on his vile attack on the president.
I had a few choice insults for the president in return. I don't regret that. I have jokes. He has the launch codes. So, it's a fair fight.
Well, the brand new calls overnight for him to be fired.
And a dangerous phishing scam giving hackers access to all of your information, spreading like wildfire on the internet. What you need to know.
And actor Liam Neeson using a particular set of skills to find free food. Well, no apology from late-night host Stephen Colbert.
No, the comedian continues to make light of his lewd attack on President Trump.
Welcome to The Late Show. I'm your host, Stephen Colbert. Still? Am I still the host? I'm still the host!
Jackie Ibanez has the very latest on the firestorm and the calls for CBS to pull him off the air. Jackie, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Abby and Heather. Absolutely no apology from Stephen Colbert, who returned to late-night stage, the target of disgust and disapproval from fans and critics alike, who are flocking to social media, urging CBS to pull the plug. Listen.
Folks, if you saw my monologue on Monday, you know that I was a little upset with Donald Trump for insulting a friend of mine. So, at the end of that monologue, I had a few choice insults for the president in return. I don't regret that. I have jokes. He has the launch codes. So, it's a fair fight.
Colbert put himself in the middle of a major controversy Monday night, launching a vulgar and what some are calling an anti-LGBT attack on President Trump.
Mr. Trump, your presidency, I love your presidency. I call it disgrace the nation. You have more people marching against you than cancer. The only thing your mouth is good for is being Vladimir Putin's holster.
Well, the Late Show host says he was defending CBS's colleague there and a friend, John Dickerson, after the president slammed his show Face the Nation, calling it Deface the Nation over the weekend. Colbert backpedaled on some of the inflammatory wording, hoping to quell the backlash he's now facing from members of the LGBT community. But the damage may have already been done. Abby, Heather?
Social media certainly says that. Thank you, Jackie.
Thanks, Jackie.
Well, Fox News reached out to CBS for comment, but the network is still staying silent on this.
Social media not so quiet. As Abby just said, the hashtag #FireColbert still spreading like wildfire. In fact, one person asked, are homophobic comments excusable if they're said by a member of the left? Only Republicans can be intolerant?
Another tweeting this, it's about respect for the office and POTUS. Colbert and CBS at minimum need to apologize. It's what adults do. And another person saying this, liberals hiding behind the free speech argument to protect Colbert while they burn down Berkeley over Ann Coulter speaking.
So what do you think? What do you think should happen to Stephen Colbert? Send us your comments on Facebook, Twitter, or send us an email to foxfriendsfirst@foxnews.com, and we will share them later in the show.
This isn't dying down. No down.
But in other news, a black student group taking over an administrative building at UC Santa Cruz, refusing to leave until the school meets their long list of demands. Tucker Carlson going head-to-head with one of the students leading the takeover.
Housing just for African American or African students. That sounds a lot like the segregation that we read about, where schools 50 years ago had special dorms for African Americans. Why is it different?
I think it's very different. We're asking for a housing guarantee for black students to live in the Rosa Parks African American themed house.
So would the guarantees also go to white students or Samoan students or Korean students?
Right now we speak for the African, Black, Caribbean students.
The student protesters chaining the front door shut, also demanding urgent supplies for their takeover, including fans, sunscreen, shower gel, towels, and an inflatable pool.
You never know when you need that inflatable pool.
Yeah.
Well, live streaming your final goodbyes, millennials are now attending funerals online. Cheap streaming technology now allowing funeral homes to offer the service for as low as $100. Millennials say it's cheaper since they don't have to travel or take time off work. But according to a survey, 40% of people don't think live streaming would capture the emotions of a funeral. I'm a millennial. I totally agree with that. Go to the actual funeral.
Yes.
You know? Well, Liam Neeson is a man who knows how to get what he wants. So what happens when a sandwich shop offers him a free lunch?
What I do have are a very particular set of skills. I will look for you. I will find you.
And that's exactly what the superstar did. According to TMZ, Neeson sought that Canadian shop out after seeing a photo of the sign that reads, quote, "Get taken by our sandwiches."
The manager says he heard Neeson was in the area filming, so he got creative with one of the star's signature rolls. He's one of my faves. Now, about 20 minutes after the hour, in crisis, fed-up veterans blasting the failing VA's health care coverage.
This is just unbelievable. You don't do this to veterans.
I think that the Women's Health Clinic, they are overworked, underpaid, and short-staffed.
The brand new promise from VA Secretary David Shulkin.
And paying the price why President Obama's $400,000 speech could cost him his pension.
Ashamed, and baby, I'm not scared. I'm singing, follow me, everything is alright. I'll be the one to tuck you in at night, and if you want to leave.
Hopefully you're not getting tucked in. Hopefully you're waking up with us this morning, a little Uncle Cracker to get your Thursday morning started off right. Welcome back to Fox and Friends First. We are back with this story. Outraged veterans blasting their DCVA hospital at an explosive town hall meeting. It's the same medical center that a watchdog group found that they were putting vets' lives at risk with unsanitary conditions like using expired equipment.
This is what he put over my husband's port on his arm. I mean, this is just unbelievable. You don't do this to veterans.
When I go to a regular facility like Shady Grove Hospital or Suburban Hospital or certain physicians in the area, I'm treated like a human being.
I think that the Women's Health Clinic, they are overworked, underpaid, and short-staffed.
Well, VA Secretary David Shulkin is now considering closing more than 1,100 facilities nationwide as the agency develops plans to allow veterans to receive private medical care.
A new bombshell lawsuit blaming Google, Facebook, and Twitter for the deadly San Bernardino terror attack. 3 of the victims' families filing suit, claiming that the social media giants failed to scrub their sites of ISIS propaganda meant to inspire attacks and gain new recruits, like shooter Saeed Farouk and his wife, who opened fire on a San Bernardino office Christmas party, killing 14 people.
And now to a Fox Business Alert. Beware before you click. A new email scam now targeting billions of users worldwide.
Cheryl Casoni from our sister network, Fox Business, here with what we all need to know. Good morning, Cheryl.
Good morning, guys. Yeah, so this is really interesting because so many people got this email, and it was a phishing email from a trusted contact. It was very, very clever in how it was presented. It ended up being malware, but yes, it was a Google phishing scam. About 1 billion Gmail users were affected. They were trying to get, these hackers were your emails, all of your contacts. In the email, if you get it, it'll say something about opening up a Google Doc. don't do it because it will infect your computer. Google's got it under control. They believe that they've found the source of the scam and that they've cleaned it out, but still those emails are still out there and floating around for sure for Gmail users, from Gmail users.
The creativity that they use, you know, to try and trick us, they should use that in a positive light.
So frustrating. Well, President Trump always says, buy American, hire American. Apparently Apple was listening.
Well, you know, Apple is interesting. This is a company that came out with their earnings earlier this week. They've got, $250 billion in cash, small amount there, but $1 billion they're going to put into a fund. They just announced this to build manufacturing, build out manufacturing in the U.S., which is great news because so much of, in particular, the iPhone is outsourced. It's built overseas. Well, they're going to really work now to create manufacturing jobs here in the U.S. Tim Cook also saying that he really applauded President Trump's tax reform plan. Again, if you're going to be making profits overseas and then taxed at 35%, you don't want to bring that money home. So some really good news from Apple yesterday.
Yeah. Well, so the world's first caffeinated bagel. What in the world is this? This doesn't sound very good to me.
Actually, I think it might be pretty good. And I actually, have you heard of Einstein Brothers bagels?
Yeah, I grew up on Einstein's.
Okay, so out when I lived in Arizona, we had them there as well, and they're great bagels. Yeah. It's made of espresso and coffee flour. It is a bagel that's got caffeine in it. It's not as strong as a cup of coffee, especially if you're looking for that jolt in the morning. It's called the Espresso Buzz Bagel. It's got 32 milligrams of caffeine, which is not as much as a whole cup of coffee. But they've been working on it for months. They're launching it now, and I don't know. We'll have to see what consumers think of it.
You know, I haven't had an Einstein's bagel that I haven't liked.
Yeah, I know. They're good, right?
Yeah,
very good.
Not everyone eats bagels, though. Down south, we have biscuits and donuts.
That's true.
Stuff like that.
That's true.
Thank you, Cheryl. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Well, the time now is 26 minutes after the top of the hour, and Hillary Clinton still unable to accept the fact that she lost.
Lack of self-awareness to me was stunning. And the idea that she yet again mentioned, I won the popular vote. You know what the prize is for that? A participation trophy and second place.
Well, someone should probably remind Clinton of that, the steps that she's taking now to launch herself back into the limelight. We are ready to get up and start the day. Look at that beautiful sunrise over New York City. Good morning to all of you. You are watching Fox and Friends First. I'm Abby Huntsman.
And I'm Heather Childers. Thank you so much for joining us. It is half past the top of the hour. Let's get right to our top story for you, though. A healthcare showdown in just a few hours. The House votes on a new bill to repeal and replace Obamacare.
President Trump working hard to turn no votes into yes. But is it enough to seal the deal?
Griff Jenkins is live for us in our nation's capital with what could be a major victory for President Trump. Good morning, Griff.
Good morning, Heather and Abby. I tell you who else is ready, and that's House Republicans. After 7 years of promises and a failed attempt in March, House Republicans now say they have the votes to undo Obamacare. The revamped legislation passing muster for hardline conservatives and moderate holdouts like Representatives Fred Upton and Billy Long, who met with the president yesterday.
I talked to the president yesterday. Based on our discussions and the agreement on this amendment, can now be in a place where I can support the bill with such amendment.
We're both yeses on the bill. There's still work to be done.
Getting it across the finish line, an amendment offering help for those with pre-existing conditions by providing $8 billion over 5 years. Other key elements would repeal essentially all of Obamacare taxes and cut federal spending on Medicaid expansion. Conservative members of the Freedom Caucus, who held out last time, also on board.
While this is not full repeal, it's the best we think we can get out of the House. We're willing to support it and then keep working for full repeal.
So you think it's still going to have the full Freedom Caucus endorsement?
I do.
But a reaction from Democrats, Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi slamming what she calls Trump care, and Representative Jim McGovern outraged.
We've been forced to rely on press reports to figure out what the hell's even in this bill that we're about to report out of rules, because you've concocted yet another secretive backroom deal without holding any hearings, not a single one, or taking any input from Democrats.
So here's how it's going to go. House Republicans meeting this morning around 10 to pass the bill out of the Rules Committee. Then, as expected, the historic vote should come later this afternoon. But it's Washington. Anything can happen. Will be an interesting thing to watch.
I was going to say, Griff, I don't know if you should say this is how it's going to go, because you never know.
You never know. So unpredictable. We'll be watching closely, though. Thank you, Griff.
Thanks. Well, a brand new Fox News alert for you. A new warning about deadly truck terror attacks. The TSA urging truck owners and rental agencies to be on the lookout for terrorists who may steal their vehicles and use them as killing machines. So this coming after recent ramming attacks you've seen worldwide, including one at Ohio State University and the Bastille Day massacre in France. Earlier this week, the State Department issuing a new terror alert for Americans heading to Europe.
And that includes all the celebrities that are planning to go to the famous Cannes Film Festival, happening just miles away from last summer's deadly attack in Nice. The city now pouring millions of dollars into security upgrades ahead of that event. They're recruiting nearly 600 volunteers to patrol the area, as well as installing surveillance cameras and giant concrete barriers along sidewalks.
Well, breaking right now, Prince Philip stepping down from royal duties, saying that he will no longer be making public appearances. Now, the 95-year-old royal pictured just yesterday opening the stand at a new cricket ground. Looks pretty good. Well, the announcement coming just moments ago after Queen Elizabeth called an emergency meeting at Buckingham Palace overnight. Prince Philip will still be at official royal family engagements, and also the Queen is fully supporting her husband's decision.
Just glad they're both okay. Well, here at home, President Trump is marking the National Day of Prayer with an executive order protecting religious freedom. By adding his signature, the president ensures the protection and enforcement of religious liberties for all Americans, as well as a break in some of the crippling fines for business that object to certain Obamacare mandates, such as covering contraception. But most important will be an IRS rollback and enforcement of the Johnson Amendment, which prohibits religious leaders from talking politics at the pulpit.
Fox News radio host Todd Starnes got a sneak peek at that executive order being signed today.
And it is the exact type of action that he called on President Trump to take in his book, The Deplorables Guide to Making America Great Again. And he joins us now with his one-minute commentary. Todd, good morning.
Sounds like he was listening to you.
Well, I hope so. Good morning, ladies. You know, there really is a war on religious liberty in America, and this war is targeting people of the Christian faith. An army of militant atheists and LGBT activists are hell-bent on not just eradicating Christianity from the public marketplace, but punishing Christians who practice their faith. That's why we need an executive order on religious liberty to protect people like Baronelle Stutzman, a grandmother, the owner of a flower shop, facing the loss of her business and her home because she refused to participate